When you're in those moments where you're like overthinking and like you're spiraling into like, catch yourself. I feel like the best way that we can change any sort of habit is to be aware of it in that moment and try your best to correct it. Stop thinking like that, because just as much as it is likely to go this way, it is just as much likely to go in your favor. Like whatever bad situation is going on is happening for me and not to me. A lot of the time we could be going through a rough patch. I want to ask, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? Like, why me? And it's not until like after you come out of it that things start to make sense. And I think that's just always how context in life works. Like your story will never be complete until pretty much you're almost on your last day, your final days. I pretty much realized that the words that you speak on your life and the things that you say, they really do speak volume, not only where your mindset is at. That's a really great way to check the temperature of like how you are thinking, just overall. Are you generally in a positive headspace or more so negative or neutral? And how aligned your life can really be with how you're speaking on it. So I've been trying my best to speak more positively about the things that I desire, the things that I'm going for, my plans, what I want the outcome to be or what I expect the outcome to be, things like that. And that kind of brings me into my other point, which is just overall keeping an optimistic mindset. I think it is a lot easier said than done. There's never really a clear-cut way as to like how to like be more positive, and I feel like it's spoken about a lot. I've listed some tangible methods for me that have helped in kind of correcting the negative self-talk. One of them for me is really correcting negative thoughts in the moment. This is like a big piece of advice I even like give to some of my closest friends as well. And I hope that it works for you guys. Like when you're in those moments where you're like overthinking and like you're spiraling into like, catch yourself. I feel like the best way that we can change any sort of habit is to be aware of it in that moment and try your best to correct it. Oftentimes, I feel like a lot of us can be aware when we're about to make a choice, whether we're feeding into a negative habit that we're trying to change or whether we're feeding into a negative thought. I feel like we can kind of be somewhat aware, and I feel like it's so easy to kind of just give into it when you just want to like express that emotion or like let out that frustration or just let out that negative feeling. But I think there's something really powerful in like trying to like catch yourself in the moment and say, you know what, like, no, this is just not gonna work out, or it's just gonna blow up in my face like it always does. Like, no, Sojourner, like stop thinking like that, because just as much as it is likely to go this way, it is just as much likely to go in your favor. Like there's a 50% chance in everything, like especially when we're talking about the unknown. There's a 50% chance of something good happening just as much as there is a 50% chance as much bad happening, and whatever option you feed into really weighs into the outcome. Cutting off negative thoughts in the moment and finding the silver lining in that moment to whatever the situation is has been something that's really helped me. Like for example, I'm currently in the process of like changing my job, and like I've been really unsatisfied with like the last like 2 jobs that I've been working. I think it's gotten me into this pattern of like, oh, like I'm just in the season of like always getting bad jobs, or like maybe it's the industry, or maybe it's this, or maybe, and it's just like, maybe you just ended up in a bad job and like it happens. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to change what roles you're applying for altogether. It can be a hint at the role, but it doesn't necessarily always need to mean that. And checking myself in that moment and correcting and trying to find the silver lining is something that's been helping me just work through my own negative self-talk. Another thing that's been helping me is starting my day talking to God and trying to remember. Sometimes I don't always remember to end my day talking to God, but I try and start my day talking to God, talking to the universe, whoever you pray to. Just pray to that higher being. Talk about all the things that you look forward to in the day. If there's not really much, trying to create something that you can look forward to, even if it's something as small as like watching a show before you go to bed at the end of the day, getting to talk to a friend after work on the phone and just trying to find the things that you're excited about, speaking positively on your day out loud to God or to the universe, whoever you pray to. Also just listing the things that I'm grateful for, being grateful for waking up another day, being grateful that all of the people in my life that I love and care about have woken up another day, being grateful for the roof over my head, being grateful for having good health and being able-bodied, being grateful. Like there's just so many things that you can list. I feel like oftentimes we don't always think about because we've just maybe always had it, certain things in our lives, and so we don't realize like how much things could change if it were to subtract out. Yeah, starting my day with gratitude has been a big way to kind of just like start my day on like the right foot of being in an optimistic mind space. And thirdly, remembering whatever bad situation is going on is happening for me and not to me. A lot of the time we could be going through a rough patch and want to ask, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? Like, why me? And it's not until like after you come out of it that things start to make sense. And I think that's just always how context in life works. Like your story will never be complete until pretty much you're almost on your last day, your final days. You can't fully look at your life in all of its encompassing glory and the story that is your life without reaching the end of it, pretty much. I think it's not, and most people, once they do reach the end, they realize like how certain things just made sense and how everything kind of comes to play. And you realize like even in the bad, it teaches you something and it pushes you into wherever you're trying to be anyways, you know? And I'm a big believer of like, you know, pressure creates diamonds, and anything of value, of refinement, of satisfaction is going to come with some pressure, some, you know, grit being, you know, applied. And, you know, I've been just looking at the hard parts of my life and really trying not to put myself in that victim mindset of like, oh, this is happening to me. It's like, no, this is teaching me something. I'm going to get something out of this and I'm going to be able to use it for the better. Another thing that I think has been helping me stay on track for 2025 is leaving the vision boards behind. And I don't know what it was about vision boards. Like they were fun to make and it was fun to like romanticize all of the things, my desires, and, you know, collectively put them in this one spot. But I don't know. I think over time, it more so just reminded me of the life that I wasn't living and the things that I wasn't striving for rather than inspiring me. Especially like the first time I did a vision board, like the dreams were big. Like I was like posting pictures of like private jets and, you know, tropical vacations and all of this overzealous thing is just like, you want to get there in a year, babes? Like you want to get there by 2024? Not to say that it's not possible, but like, what are we going to do to get there, you know? And so I say that all to say in 2025, vision boards, let's bring in the bingo cards. The life bingo cards are in. I'm gonna post mine, and honestly I feel like it's helped me immensely just because I'm actually listing and writing out specific goals. I'm also being overzealous because a bingo card has a lot of different boxes, so it's not like you're just having like 2 or 3 goals. You're filling every single box, and like it just makes you aim higher and see where you land rather than you're only focusing on like 2 or 3 things for the year and then you barely, you know, really even focus on them because they're just so big and seem so far away. I have a mixture of small goals, big goals, short-term goals, long-term goals on there. All of them are definitely like doable, like within the year. And what I'm also finding fun about it, which also kind of makes it tie into the vision board theme, is that whenever I complete the little bingo square, like a goal, I take a picture of the proof of me completing it and I'm gonna like put it on the little bingo square to cover. And then hopefully by the end of 2025, looks like a vision board because it's filled with pictures of all the little things but they're like things that I've already accomplished. And they're like pictures I've taken myself rather than like random people that I've gotten on Pinterest. list, just so that I can feel like a sense of accomplishment at the end of the year, and I can visually see all of the life goals that I've actually tackled myself. I don't know, I feel like that's a little bit more motivating for me instead of an actual vision board. I've also broken down those same goals into quarters. Like if I finish one thing in a quarter, that kind of leads to another thing that I can like finish. Like, so for example, like quarter one is to like land myself like good salary remote position, and quarter two I want to like work on like getting like my like G2 and stuff like that, and like my Canadian citizenship, and both things cost money. And so, but it's just like, with a bigger salary and a more comfortable like job situation, I can definitely like redirect my focus to these things. So I've broken it down in that way, where it's like each of my little goals kind of like fall into like other goals that can happen like later down the line in the quarters of the year. Undiagnosed, self-diagnosed ADHD. I find that I get a little bit overwhelmed with all of my goals, and like I'll have so many things that I want to do that I'll just constantly try and do everything like all at once. Like one day I'm focused on this, the next day I'm focused on that, the next day like and you barely really like get the ball rolling at anything really. And so I'm finding like breaking them down in that sense is just allowing me like to like only focus on the goals that I have for Q1. I have a tarot reader that I watch. His name is Manopon Tarot, and he actually inspired me to use this method because he himself talks about having so many ideas, and allowing yourself to separate things into quarters allows you to not only know when it's time to maybe like put something down, and like if you're not seeing the progress that what you want, you could put a pin on it and maybe tackle it in the next quarter or the following quarter. But then, trying something else that you said that you wanted to, get started on, and seeing where that goes. One thing that I'm also really trying to prioritize this year as well, when it comes to really going for my goals and dreams, is just focusing on the journey and not the destination. And in other words, just considering all of this like you're getting your reps in. I think a lot of the times when we have a goal, we just think about like getting there and how long it's gonna take to get there, rather than just like, it doesn't matter how long it's gonna take for you to get to your goals, because the time is gonna pass anyways. If your goals are gonna take 3 years or even 5 years, why are you focused on the fact that it's going to take so long, rather than the fact that, because it's like the 3 to 5 years are going to pass regardless. So in the meantime, focus on getting your reps in, because that's not only going to be the thing that makes you stronger and more skilled, but it's also going to be the thing that teaches you where you're going wrong and how to pivot, how to change, and how to improve. I think especially as someone who is a perfectionist, I myself get so caught up in like how something looks and like all the nitty gritty details of trying to make sure that I execute something exactly how I saw it in my brain. And sometimes it's just like it takes executing something wrong a few times before you can figure out how you want to execute it the right way. Don't focus on when you're gonna get there and how you're gonna get there. Just focus on getting there and just like starting. I think for 2025, this year, discipline and consistency is a key thing for me, just to speak on like getting your reps in. When we focus on bringing discipline into our lives in all aspects, whether it's discipline with how you treat your body, are you exercising enough, are you feeding it the right things, are you getting enough sleep, discipline in the way we maintain our friendships, are we being positive, accountable friends, the people who we care about, like their lives, are they doing that for us? And I think when you show discipline and consistency in all areas of your life, how could it not bleed into your career goals? How could it not bleed into your personal goals, your emotional goals, your self-growth goals? I think they're all tied into each other. So that's one thing I'm definitely working on, and starting with the gym and being more consistent with the gym, I think has also just brought me a lot more confidence to even show up here right now. But most importantly, I think, is figuring out how to have fun with it. I think romanticizing my life right now, especially when you're at a point where you might not feel the happiest or the most content with your situation, still finding a way to romanticize even the dreadful parts, I think is a great way of not only keeping that optimistic mindset, not only ensuring that you're not setting yourself into this doom-like spirit that like stops you or slows you down from keeping your discipline, but it just allows you to not pay so much attention to the final destination as well, and like how long it's going to take to get there, when you're going to get there, because you're just enjoying the process. And some ways that I've been either practicing or I want to practice more of, and I'm trying to do more of, to get myself into that element of romanticizing my life and, you know, just being in that spirit of whimsy, is definitely doing more things, creative things for the heck of it, not necessarily for the sake of content creation. So for my own personal goals, like I know that I do want to do more creative projects like YouTube, like content creation, UGC. And I think there's a lot of pressure behind when you start to also create content for the sake of not only getting attention, but also trying to get paid. I think it's really important for me, especially as an adult, to do things creatively just for the sake of things. So like going to a park and sketching something that's in front of me, going on an artist date and writing about the people I see, or just making up a story on the go based on the environment I'm in. Literally just being able to just not focus so much around work or creating and the things that you're passionate about needing to be taken so seriously all the time. Life at the end of the day is meant to be lived and enjoyed, and what good is chasing after your dreams if you're miserable doing it? I feel like it's kind of defeats the purpose of it being your dream if like you're not really enjoying yourself, you know? Although the process can be quite isolating sometimes, I think you should still, at the end of the day, be doing it with a content heart. Another way that I romanticize my life is video journaling. I love video journaling and talking about, you know, where I'm at in my life and how I'm connecting the dots to certain things. It's really nice to like look back on and just physically see where I was at that moment in time, and it just really adds to the overall context of my story. And understanding, even like when I'm video journaling through harder days, like come out of it and you watch it back and you're like, oh wow, like I needed to go through that because like now I'm in a better place and I can watch this and I know the lessons like I learned from that experience. It just allows you to like, makes me look at the like fullness of my life and the multifacets of my life. So yeah, I love a good video diary. I think lastly, one thing that I'm also trying to get back into that I love to do all throughout high school, all throughout middle school, all throughout university, is just capturing more moments of my life, taking more pictures. Fucking Bad Bunny said it first. Like, I should have taken more photos. I think capturing our life also allows us to romanticize our life, capturing just the most mundane parts, like, you know, my windowsill on, you know, a sunny day, or the cup of coffee or tea I'm having in the morning, watching the leaves change color as I'm like going for a walk or a run and taking the scenic route. I think there's so many moments in our lives and there's so much beauty in our life that we overlook, and I think when we pay attention to them, not only does it draw more inspiration, but allows us to just like slow down and be present and just enjoy the journey. I think that's what 2025 is all about for me, is just enjoying this journey, being intentional with this journey, and like really trying to put in everything that I'm trying to get out of this year. Yeah, that's essentially my recap for what works for me and what has been working for me into setting myself up for success this 2025. And I hope that a lot of the things that I've said kind of resonate with you, and maybe it'll inspire you to also take on some new practices. Let me know in the comments below, what are you doing differently this year from last year that, you know, has really been keeping you on track with your goals and dreams, and maybe what are you still doing from last year that's still working for you? I'd love to know. And I'd love to know those of you who also share and comment the tools that I've been using and the habits that I've been using to kind of keep myself on track, how it's been working for you. I'd love to really get a conversation going in the comments. So yeah, let me know where you're at. I'd love to know. And yeah, I will see you guys next week.